Welcome into One-on-One live on Sunlink Channel 112 and live from Studio 318. We've got one good show for you before we head out of here and go on spring break. But we've got some NFL to get to. Got Barrett Guest. Apparently they call it, he's like Joe Lunardi.
He is.
When
He's
you
the
talk
new,
to him.
Joe Lunardi wishes he was Barrett Guest.
That is very true. So we have Barrett on for a couple segments to talk about. Obviously, the NCAA Tournament Selection Sunday is just around the corner, and then we will get into some Oklahoma State athletics. We will start in the National Football League. Running back Kareem Hunt got handed his suspension today, 8 games. Do you agree with the length of the suspension?
I thought it was a little short. I thought he was going to be out at least a whole season. He'll get to play. He'll get to prove himself. Hopefully, we've talked about it every time we talk about Kareem Hunt. He needs to get help outside of football. He needs to seek counseling and, better himself as a person. But the NFL always gets it wrong, it seems. They never get it right on the first try. Obviously, they got the Ray Rice thing wrong twice probably, and now he's not even in the league. So I guess they got that right. But I was really expecting a whole year for Kareem Hunt. What'd you think about it?
Well, I think to me it essentially is a year because he was placed on the commissioner's list last year, so he missed the half of last season. And then obviously the Chiefs release him. I don't know what you're supposed to do with Kareem Hunt because obviously I don't agree with what he did, but he's cost himself a ton of money. He cost himself a bright future, and maybe he still has one in Cleveland. Obviously, we know the roster changes that they've made, but I'm not here to be the judge and jury, but I feel like Kareem Hunt's been through enough and he deserves a second chance. Obviously, he's on a very short leash to where if he does anything remotely close to that, he needs to be banned. But 8 games, I have no problem with based on the fact of, he missed the last 8 games last year, so I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I guess he did miss that last half of last year, but since it wasn't, I guess it is kind of a league suspension since he's on the commissioner's list, but I just feel like the actual suspension should have been
The full year.
a full year. At the very least, 10 games.
Yeah, from what I've read, the Browns were expecting 8 to 10 games, so this wasn't much of a shock to anyone, really. But he's got his deals basically pretty incentivized. He can get like $200,000 from the in-game bonus. But if you look now at this Browns roster, luckily enough for the Browns, they don't need Kareem Hunt.
Right.
Obviously we know they've got Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, the trade for Odell Beckham. You've got David Njoku, Demetrius Harris as your tight ends, and you have Nick Chubb. So 8 games in, they may be on a roll and put him in there. It might be a very, very, very dangerous offense in Cleveland.
Yeah, for sure. People are calling. I don't know how you feel about their Super Bowl chances, but
they're not real. I'll say to that.
I don't think so either. But I think they have real chance to definitely make the playoffs, but maybe even win the division. We talked about it the other day. There's only the Browns and maybe the Ravens are getting better. The Steelers got worse by getting rid of Antonio Brown and losing Le'Veon Bell. And the Bengals, I don't know what they can do, but they're not good. So I don't think they're going to win the division. So I think it's going to be Baltimore or Cleveland that's going to win that division next year.
The Cleveland Browns are a very good football team. But let's get something on paper. But let's get something very clear. Baker Mayfield's never played in a playoff game in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I don't know that Jarvis Landry has. Odell Beckham, when it was most important, he was on a yacht in Miami the week before that. And Freddie Kitchens has never been a head coach in his entire life.
Right.
So let's pump the brakes. Listen, when you go from absolute dumpster fire, they extinguish it and build themselves a nice house, things change. They've got a nice setup in Cleveland, but pump the brakes on the Super Bowl odds. And the reason that they're there, obviously, it's not just the roster changes, because of the story. People would love to see the Browns win. They would love to see it. That's why, well, I wouldn't either, but the majority of sports fans would love to see it. But I'm kind of with you. Maybe a year-long suspension, but I don't have much of a problem with the 8-game suspension.
Yeah, and to go back to your point of this is a great Madden team, but I think Nick Chubb has kind of proven himself to be a pretty good running back in the league. So I don't think they'll have an issue there. I think the biggest thing is going to be the play calling. Like you said, Freddie Kitchens has never been a head coach. Baker Mayfield's never really played in a meaningful game. Odell Beckham, we've seen what he's like. So this could be one of those, I don't want to say the Steelers situations because, the Steelers had all that talent, but it never manifested the last couple of years. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I wonder if your guy John Dorsey, he obviously can flip a roster. We've seen that. But I want to know what he can do for an organization as far as
he can
building a winning culture.
He can absolutely destroy a cap.
Yes.
I mean, he did it in Kansas City, and they're still reeling from it, and so exactly what he's going to do in Cleveland. Listen, John Dorsey's the best talent evaluator in the league, and I would love for somebody to prove me different. Look what the difference between the 2011 Kansas City or 2012 Kansas City Chiefs and the 2013 Kansas City Chiefs. Went from 2-14 to a playoff game.
Yeah.
Look what he's already done in Cleveland. They didn't have anyone, and he just can't manage the roster. Plus, his ego is one of the worst in the league. And here's exactly what's going to happen, and I've told you this in Cleveland. Jimmy Haslam, I believe you read that article that was on ESPN. I mean, he's an egomaniac. Yeah. He wants to be a football guy. He wants to be in those decisions, and he has no clue what he's doing. And as soon as the Browns get really good or win a playoff game, John Dorsey's going to want credit, and it should be given to him. And Jimmy Haslam's going to want credit because he's the owner.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get in a fight, and it's all going to fall apart. It's exactly what's going to happen. Why? Just because they go 7-8-1 or 7-9-1, whatever they were, and flip a roster, all of a sudden everything else changes about the organization.
Yeah.
No, they're still the Cleveland Browns. They're still the Cleveland Browns.
I hope so.
So they're going to be good. They'll probably make the playoffs, and they are the favorite to win the division. But it is really hard to win a championship in the National Football League. So pump the brakes on the Cleveland Browns. Stop. The Lakers are supposed to be good too. That didn't work out well. So a lot of stuff we did right as we were on air on Wednesday. The Ravens signed Earl Thomas. They got him, the safety from Seattle, 4 years, $55 million, and then later in the day they signed Mark Ingram from New Orleans, 3 years, $15 million.
The Ravens are making moves too.
Well, yeah, they have. They lost everyone on their defense.
Yeah, for sure. Earl Thomas, I thought he was going to be a Cowboy all last year, and then I saw somewhere I said it on the show, he was reportedly going to sign with Cleveland. That didn't happen. He went to Baltimore. I like the move for Baltimore after letting go of Eric Weddle, fills in that safety spot, and Mark Ingram, that's a cheap deal for Mark Ingram. Obviously, it wasn't going to work out in New Orleans with Alvin Kamara being back there, but I'll be really interested to see what they do. I did think it was interesting, though, that they went after a running back in free agency instead of some kind of receiver or something like that.
Well, they lost Alex Collins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they had to replenish that.
But with Lamar Jackson, I don't know. I'm not saying you don't need a running back.
He could be the receiver.
Yeah, he could. He could be the receiver.
That's what they wanted to do at the Combine. Yeah, I'm with you. The Ravens, I think, have kind of digressed significantly, going from the number 1 overall defense, losing C.J. Mosley, Eric Weddle, and Earl Thomas is a great pickup, but he can't do it himself, and they've just lost a lot. I'm with you.
He's coming off a bad injury.
Yeah, and Mark Ingram wasn't even the feature back anymore in New Orleans, but we'll see what they do. Obviously, it's going to be a very interesting division. We'll stay kind of on that side of the country. I guess we'll go to the NFC. The Giants signed Golden Tate to a 4-year, $37.5 million. Is
that the plan? Get rid of Odell Beckham, get Golden Tate?
I don't know if Gettleman likes being bad at his job or I don't understand. Listen, I'm not the biggest Odell fan. I'm big on, football guys. Odell Beckham's not a big football guy. He likes to do other things, and if that works for him, he can do it.
Yeah.
But you let him walk away. You give Golden Tate almost $40 million over 4 years. You let Landon Collins walk away. Yeah. This is a guy in Carolina that basically let Josh Norman walk out the door.
Yeah.
I don't understand what he does. And he's keeping Eli Manning. It's the worst part of it all.
Yeah. I was about to say, that's probably the most
egregious cherry on top.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday, a nice hot fudge Sunday of David Gettleman's bad decisions. And the Eli Manning having a job is the giant cherry on top. I mean, it's just, what is this guy doing? Nothing he does makes sense. Nothing.
Yeah. There's no way to explain it. Like you said, it doesn't make any sense. You go from Odell Beckham, and you can say what he got back was a good haul or not, whatever. I don't know how well he's going to draft. So
draft picks are never guaranteed.
I was about to say, and you can mess up a draft pick so bad. So I don't really know how much value I can put in getting a first-round pick. And then you get Jabril Peppers. Like, okay, he was a starter. That guy can play. But he doesn't produce like Odell Beckham does. And obviously, it's harder to judge that on offense versus defense. But you didn't get a caliber of Odell's talent in return. And you don't, like you said, the draft picks are up in the air. They're not guaranteed to be stars. So, and then you turn around and sign Golden Tate as like a safety pin or a Band-Aid or something like that. But he was not good in Philadelphia.
I mean, Golden Tate has been a really good receiver, but it's no longer young Golden Tate. I mean, he's been in the league a while. But I don't understand how receivers would want to sign a contract in New York.
Maybe they'd love catching 5-yard out routes. I don't know.
I mean,
that's about as far as it goes.
Well, Eli Manning he's not very good. But the Chiefs do sign Alex Okafor away from the Saints. He's had 22 sacks in 68 games. He's never been graded above 80 by Pro Football Focus. It's an okay signing. I think they gave him a little bit too much cash, but obviously they're depleted at that position since they cut and traded everyone that played that position. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with signing Okafor, but it seemed like a little bit too much cash for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you think the defense is shaping up? Because I think at the end of last year, everyone that ever watched a football game could tell you the Chiefs were probably the best football team, but their defense kept them from being able to go to the Super Bowl. So do you think they've are they moving in the right direction, the wrong direction?
Well, you fire Bob Sutton and you hire Steve Spagnuolo, so you get the right direction there. Mm-hmm. You bring in Tyrann Mathieu, you get that right. Yeah. But you trade Dee Ford, you cut Justin Houston, and Eric Berry had only played 4 out of the last 30 games, but you didn't really save much money by cutting him.
Yeah.
They have a plan. Andy Reid and Brett Veach have a plan. I just can't figure it out. So for me, it's not going well, in my opinion, but there's a plan, and we'll see if it pans out. But I kept saying you almost guaranteed. It's like it literally can't get any worse.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that because it could get worse.
I hope I hope they get it done pretty soon because, Tyreek Hill was reportedly going to get a huge deal. Patrick Mahomes is going to be up for a huge deal before we know it. So the clock's ticking on getting a reliable defense around Patrick Mahomes so he can go to a Super Bowl and hopefully win one for you, Reed. I hope you win a Super Bowl. Every day I wake up and I'm like, man, I hope Reed wins a Super Bowl someday. I hope the Kansas City Chiefs win one for Reed.
I'll disappear for a week. I'll be the greatest week of my life. But Dan Snyder, obviously a guy who hasn't won a championship in a long time. Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington Redskins, did something that really infuriates me, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So Landon Collins, we know he signed a 6-year, $84 million deal to be a safety. Another David Gettleman just lets him walk.
Yeah.
So everyone grew up that plays the safety position idolizes Sean Taylor. Unfortunately, he lost his life in 2007 to, gun violence.
Yeah.
But at dinner, Dan Snyder gave him a signed, game-worn Sean Taylor jersey. And I'm not trying to sound bad here. There's obviously only a limited number of those. He's never played a down for the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins have had relationships go bad time and time again. He can do whatever he wants with that, but it seems a little extreme considering the fact he hasn't even played for the Redskins yet.
Yeah, maybe it's a sign of like this is what we want you to be. We want you to be maybe not the next Sean Taylor, but this is the guy that has laid the groundwork. Like you said, probably idolized him growing up playing that position. So, maybe it's a way of trying to preserve the relationship, started on the right foot. I don't know.
Well, if it goes sour, what do you ask for it back? I mean, it's just that's such a monumental gift.
Yeah.
Like that's an incredible gift, and I'm sure Landon Collins is ecstatic, but he needs to give something more to the organization to earn that. But I'm going to ask Barrett about that. He's a Redskins fan. Speaking of Barrett, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about everything going on in college basketball. As I said, Selection Sunday is just around the corner. We will be right back after this.
One-on-One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Notch with the O'Colly. Today I'll be showing you how to register for the O'Colly Tournament Bracket Challenge. So you will go to contest.ocolly.com. Once you are there, you can either click here on the register tab or up on the top right. Once you are there, you can put your display name, email, password, first, last name, state, and phone number. This is just for contact purposes at the end of the bracket. So once you are registered, you will not have to worry about anything else at the moment until the Selection Sunday has occurred. Once you are ready, once the bracket is open, you will go up to My Picks, and the bracket will appear right here, and you can pick your teams. Of course, the bracket is going to open on Monday, March 18th at 2 p.m., and it will close on Tuesday at 8 p.m. on March 19th. So again, that's Tuesday, March 19th at 8 p.m. it closes. Also, if you would like, you can add a jersey. You can add any kind of graphic you would like. If you would like to do a jersey, you would just go up to the top right, click on jersey, and you can add name, stripes, whatever you so choose. When it comes to standings, you can either go on your homepage, it will tell you your points and also the leader's points, or you can go to the standings and see how everyone else ranks. So again, that is the O'Colly Tournament Bracket Challenge. We have 3 prizes to offer. First place will get $500, second place will get $300, and third place will get $200. Again, $500 for first, $300 for second, and $200 for third. So please do share this with your family and friends. And we hope you guys have a lot of fun doing this. I know a lot of the staff here at the O'Colly is excited to get on this and to see how we rank against everyone else. So please do, again, share with family and friends. Any questions, please email me at notch@okstate.edu. I will gladly answer any and all questions that you have. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back into One-on-One. We're going to get into everything. We got 2 segments of college basketball. Barrett, this is what you live for, March Madness.
It is. Best time of the year.
I will let you run the show. Where do you want to start? Because we're going to go first 4 out, first 4 in, last 4 in. I want to do 2 seeds, 1 seeds, the Cinderella stories. Okay. Who's going to win it all? Where do you want to start?
I guess we could start let's start with the Big 12 tournament, I guess.
All right. Okay. Well, first of all, this guy over here says
Kansas.
He's so smart, Kansas is going to win it. Kansas State's best player is out. Texas Tech gets upset by West Virginia, and all of a sudden, Logan Mosier looks like a genius. Who's going to win the Big 12 tournament?
I mean, it's hard not to say Kansas. I don't think they're the best team. I think Texas Tech is, but obviously
they're gone.
They're
back in Lubbock.
Hopefully they get in at large.
Without, yeah, hopefully. Without Mike Dean, Kansas State, I don't think is. I mean, if you look at the record with and without, and like the numbers with and without him, it doesn't even compare. So, I think Kansas would have to be the favorite. I think Iowa State could. They're always a Big 12 tournament team. Like, maybe not an NCAA tournament team, but like when it comes to the Big 12 tournament, they kick it into another gear every year.
Well, it's like Hilton South in Kansas City. For some reason, the Iowa State fans, and it's not that long of a drive, but they flood to Kansas City, the Sprint Center. It's pretty amazing, but, I mean, you're right. They just kind of turn it on at the Big 12 tournament. But they struggled down the stretch in the Big 12 itself. They lost to West Virginia by double digits. They kind of went on a slide, finished, I believe, 5th in the conference. But ultimately, I think Kansas is somehow going to pull off a miracle. It doesn't winning the tournament's not going to extend. It's not going to change. Give them year 15 of a conference title, but it will be a little bit of a revenge, I think, for letting Kansas State take the Big 12 away from them.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the championship game, no matter. I think it'd be awesome to see West Virginia win the Big 12.
It would be hilarious.
I think that'd be great.
No, Bob Huggins looks like he's about to have a heart attack every time they go to him.
Well, that would be
TV.
like heart attack number 3.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
If you're a bubble team, how infuriating is it that Gonzaga lays an egg and gets beat by St. Mary's, a team that they beat by like 100 points earlier in the season, and then West Virginia, or if they were to pull off this miracle, if you're on the bubble, there's 2 teams right there that just got pushed out by a ridiculous automatic qualifier.
It's unreal. I mean, that's the worst thing for bubble teams is when those teams you expect, everyone's saying they're going to be a 1-bid team, and then that team ends up losing. Like Wofford, they struggled in the against UNC Greensboro in the Southern Conference Championship. That could have been another one, and then obviously Gonzaga was the biggest one because St. Mary's, I don't think there were some people that might have had them in, but overall I think most people would agree that they were not a tournament team. So I think if you're a bubble team, there's not really much you can do except sweat it out and just win the games that are put in front of you. I mean, you look at Texas; they had a good opportunity to beat Kansas, and they couldn't pull that off. So they're probably out. You look at like Clemson; they probably had to beat NC State, and now they're most likely out. Teams like Georgetown had an outside chance, but they got destroyed by Seton Hall. So the bubble's getting smaller and smaller, but yeah, it cannot be easy being one of those bubble teams, sitting there wondering, what team next is gonna lose and take a spot away. So if West Virginia wins, that's just, if you're a bubble team, I mean,
what's West Virginia's seeding if they win the Big 12?
If they win the Big 12,
15. It would have to be.
I would say
15 or 14.
I don't think, just because they're Power 5, I don't think they would put them like incredibly low. But I would say 14. I mean, St. Mary's, they weren't in the tournament, but with that win over Gonzaga, they'll probably be like a 11 or 12.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
So we'll start with the first. Sorry, Logan, I didn't catch it. Let's do the first 4 out and tell me why it wasn't enough to get into the tournament. So we'll start with you and then kind of swing around.
Okay, so my first 4 out are Arizona State, Clemson, Furman, and Creighton.
You were a big Furman guy.
I am a big Furman guy.
You're a sellout, Barrett. You're a sellout. You were so in.
I was, but
Furman.
then that loss, when they lost, if they had beaten UNC Greensboro, I would have them in.
No heart, Barrett. No heart. You just give up on them.
Hey, they still got a chance. I mean, obviously what I say doesn't go. So. Wish it did, but
if you don't get an automatic qualifier though, people don't care about teams like Furman.
Yeah, I know. It's for me, that is the most frustrating thing.
Right.
About, like, you look at, Furman has 7 losses. They have a win over Villanova, losses to Wofford, UNC Greensboro, who's also a pretty good team. They're kind of on the bubble. LSU, I don't know if I just said that, but they have like pretty good wins and really good losses as well. They have like a couple to not great teams, but I just think that you should get rewarded for winning no matter what your schedule is. I mean, if you look at the college football playoff, everyone knew that Georgia was the better team than Notre Dame, but they're not going to put them in because they know they're the better team. They put Notre Dame in because they beat everybody. And I think when you look at teams like Belmont is another team on the bubble that I think 100% deserves to be in. They only have, I believe, 5 losses. And so it's frustrating for me to look at it when you have teams like Texas that are being considered, and now they're like 500, and then you have teams like Belmont who have 28 wins, and it just annoys me because they're consistently always looking at like mid-majors and not giving them nearly as much credit as I think they deserve. So, yeah, that's my take on what mid-majors. But it's one of my biggest like pet peeves when it comes to college basketball.
So your last four were Furman, which is just unbelievable. But Furman.
Yeah, Furman.
Next one.
Clemson, and I think they're 100% out after the
100%
loss. They're in my first four out, but they're not going to get in. Creighton, they just lost to Xavier. Yeah. They're out. And Arizona State, I think Arizona State could definitely jump in. If they make it to the Pac-12 championship, I think they could, even if they don't win it, if they lose to Washington in the championship, I think they could get in. I think they're good enough to get in.
Can we just make Pac-12 basketball like a mid-major? Like, can they not be Power 5
in
basketball?
It's considered Pac-12 is considered Power 5, and then
we should knock it down.
Big East, I guess.
Yeah, the best team is Washington, and they're an 8 seed.
Yeah,
and they're not that good.
Matched up now with Utah State, who is a 9 seed, who is not in the Pac-12. Yeah, I mean, and that Joe Lunardi has them having moved up to 8. I mean, they weren't an 8. He's now improved them up to an 8 seed.
I have them at a 9, but I think.
By the way, Bear is the only guy I've ever met in my life that has his own field of 64.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of research.
I don't know what came over me this year. I was really feeling it, and I've been following it. I've been doing this since like probably I want to say early January. So.
Well, when we made the jokes about Furman, you seriously long time ago, like when
they were ranked,
when the season very first started, you were talking about them. You seem like a Wofford guy to me. They are a 7 seed.
He loves Wofford.
Yeah, I have them at a 7 seed as well. They are a legit team. I mean, I don't know, have you ever seen them play before?
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I don't know where Wofford even is.
It's in South Carolina.
Same place Furman's in South Carolina, correct?
Yeah. I mean, they're in the same conference, but Wofford, I mean, their 3-point shooting is absolutely unreal. I mean, they'll just catch and shoot no matter where they are on the court, and it is unbelievable to watch. And I seriously think that they could make like a Sweet 16 type run, maybe even Elite 8, whatever 2 seed that is on their side of the bracket, I think would be in trouble because
currently it's LSU, at least to where Joe Lunardi has it. It's number 2 LSU, just down below Wofford. So that would, if they both win, that would put Wofford versus the Tigers in Jacksonville. That'd be an interesting one.
That would.
So Logan, who is your first 4 out?
My first 4 out are Creighton. Like you said, they lost to Xavier. That put them out. Indiana. I hate to say Indiana's first 4 out. They went on a great run to end the season, but they lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, so that puts them out for me. I think I have Alabama on my first 4 out, and Clemson is also in my first 4 out.
My first 4 out, it's NC State, Clemson, Indiana, and Florida. And NC State and Clemson, they fought, basically till the end. Clemson was way up. They lose the game to NC State. NC State's 22-11, but they just lost to 20 by Virginia. And I don't care how good Virginia is. Yeah. You can't lose by 20 when you're fighting for a spot in the NCAA tournament. You can lose by 10 even, but I don't care how good they are. But 20 is a little much for me. So I have the Wolfpack out, Clemson out. Indiana's out, but Indiana's an interesting one because they have really good wins.
They do.
But they have 15 losses.
Yeah. They started off so bad. You can talk more about it.
Yeah. Well, they started off at the beginning of the season. They started off kind of rough. Then they started going on a run, and everyone's like, "This team is legit." And Romeo Langford is unreal. And then all of a sudden they lose like 11 out of 13 games. Everyone's like, "What the heck is going on?" So, I mean, obviously, that loss to Ohio State was just brutal because they had a chance. If they had beaten Ohio State, maybe there's serious consideration for them, and then they would have had a shot against Michigan State to beat for a 3rd time, which is unreal. So
I don't think Michigan State wants to see Indiana.
I don't think so either. So,
but I have them out, and I also have the Gators out. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, then we're going to do the last 4 in, The number 1 seeds, I'm going to ask you who your Cinderella is.
All right,
and
perfect.
it can't be Wofford, disclosure, because they're a 7
no
seed.
Wofford, no Wofford.
And then we'll even go to the 2 seeds as well, and I'm going to ask you who's going to win the entire thing. So we're going to take a quick break, come back right after this.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back into One-on-One. We've got more college basketball talk with our own bracketologist, Barrett Guess. Right there. All right.
That's the only college basketball player in the country, by the way.
Well, he's the only one that gets the Nike executives to fly to China to specifically make him his shoes. How ridiculous is it that they flew to China to make him his own shoes?
I don't even believe it.
It's
like,
unreal.
They oversaw the process.
Do they even know like that it's supposed to be right? You know what I mean? Do they know?
Probably not.
Are they like, that's bad stitching, you gotta redo that? Like, I don't think he would know. Like, they wouldn't know that they were doing it right or wrong. I think it's ridiculous that they flew out there to oversee that.
Yeah, that.
It doesn't mean anything.
I think it does in the fact that he's going to be signing a shoe deal in about 6 months.
I guess, yeah.
And they're getting their early pitch in. They're trying to contribute, get a deal now. So, anyways, they play North Carolina tonight. It'll be interesting, kind of a revenge. North Carolina swept Duke, but they've only seen Zion for about 28 seconds of those 2 games.
It'll be interesting to see if he actually makes a difference. Because that's all anyone's ever talked about.
Yeah, well, one, I think even if they didn't have Zion, I seriously think Duke, would win. I think beating a team 3 times is incredibly hard, especially when the teams are that good.
Right.
But yeah, with Zion, I think it'd be a really good game, but I think Duke's going to pull away at the end.
Well, so we'll get into we've done the first 4 out. Who's your first 4 in? Who are your number 1 seeds?
Okay. So I've got my number 1 overall seed is Virginia.
Homer.
Yeah, of course. Represent. My number 2 overall is Gonzaga, then Kentucky, then North Carolina.
Go ahead, Logan. Who's
all right. I got Virginia.
Okay.
I have Kentucky over Gonzaga just because of that that lost to St. Mary's, but they didn't drop far. They just dropped to my 3rd overall seed, and then 4 I also have North Carolina.
Virginia is my number 1 overall seed. I only lost 2 times.
That didn't work out for them last year, by the way.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
That was
Gonzaga, my number 2 seed.
Okay.
The loss to St. Mary's is inexcusable, but they're still 30-3, and they beat Duke.
They did.
Something Virginia hasn't done.
Yeah.
But Gonzaga is my number 2 seed. North Carolina is my number 3 overall seed, and Kentucky will be at 4, 26-5.
Yeah.
Kentucky, it just didn't really seem like they were even a basketball team until like the last week of January.
I believe they only finished with 5 losses.
Yeah, but
And
there was no
seemed,
speculation.
At one point, it seemed like they might finish with 8 or 9. Like they, I mean, it looked bad, but they seriously came on. They are legit. I think legit contenders for the national championship. They're really good.
See, Coach Calipari, to me, when they get in the tournament, I don't trust him. Like I've just seen it.
Yeah.
It's only happened once with Kentucky, and it was obviously their best season. Anthony Davis, they were basically unbeatable. But we've seen undefeated Kentucky teams. We've seen the hype. This team doesn't have that typical Kentucky hype, but I just don't trust Coach Cal in March. I just don't.
You trust Virginia?
Yeah.
I was about to say, who of these guys do you trust besides North Carolina and Gonzaga that are in the top 4? Virginia's.
See, Virginia's different for me now because, listen, with Coach Bennett, they're not going to shoot lights out.
Yeah.
And that's why they can't beat Duke. And they're probably not a real shot to win a national title because they're not going to lose to a 16 seed again. That's not going to happen. They're better than they were last year, but it's just one of those things where, quite honestly, if you pit them up against Oklahoma State, in Oklahoma State, the way they shot against Texas Tech, Kansas, and Baylor, they beat Virginia.
Yeah.
Because when Virginia's defense doesn't work, they have no offense. Their defense translates to offense. And if you can shoot on Virginia, it's over. Just like UMBC did last year, that's not going to happen because I think they're better. But, I mean, they're averaging like 60, 70 points a game.
I do think they're a lot better offensively this year than they were last year. And I think if their defense is struggling, I do think that their offense is good enough to steal them a game. But like you said, like if Virginia's a 1 seed and Wofford's an 8 and they play in the second round,
scary.
That is going to be fun to watch because Wofford's pretty much the best 3-point shooting team in the country. So that would be I think a very underrated game looking at it if they do face off.
Well, it's interesting. You look at Wofford here, and like Joe Lunardi, this isn't how it's going to be. But he's typically, I mean, he's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So it's obviously here in Anaheim, in the West, we have Wofford matched up against Minnesota, and then number 2 LSU versus Sam Houston State. I think Wofford could probably beat LSU, but then you have Houston and Maryland waiting just up north. So it's going to be a difficult path. The West is strong. You know, they have Gonzaga. Maryland did not perform well at the Big Ten tournament, but Maryland's an iffy team. There's one of those teams where like you can be good, but you've never shown me anything in March.
Right. I think they're the type of team they can beat anyone. Like they could easily make it to the Elite 8 and beat out some of the top teams, or they could lose first round.
Yeah.
Like they're that team that they're just a toss up. I mean, you showed like their loss against Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's not a bad team, but I thought they were going to make. I think everyone thought they were going to make the tournament at the beginning of the year. But
when they played Oklahoma State, I mean, they were a top 25 team and were really good. So we've got our number 1 overall seeds.
Yep.
Now give me the last teams that are on the bubble that squeak in. We've got the first 4 out. Now the last 4 in.
Okay, so I've got TCU.
You're putting the Horned Frogs in. All right.
I'm putting them in.
I thought you had them out.
I did, and then I put them back in.
Okay.
After, if they had lost to us, they would have been 100% out.
Yeah.
Belmont, Temple, and UNC Greensboro. And I know UNC Greensboro is not a popular pick, but you know how I feel about mid-majors, and I seriously think they deserve. I mean, all of their losses are good losses. They lost to, half of their losses are to Wofford. They lost to Wofford 3 times. But
you just said it's hard to lose to a team
it
3
is.
times.
Yeah.
They've done it.
They did. Which if they had won one of them, it would have been they would have had a much better case. But still, I think they deserve a shot. I think if Furman had beaten UNC Greensboro in the in the semifinals, I think I would have Furman in right now, but instead of UNC Greensboro. But I think they deserve a shot. Do I actually think they're going to get in? Probably not, but I think they deserve a shot because looking at the teams outside, like, you know, Clemson, Creighton, Texas, those teams, they just haven't done enough for me.
Yeah,
I don't think you deserve, like, you losing 15 games. I don't understand how you can put a team, unless they have some really good wins.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's so much that goes into us. I mean, we don't use, they don't use the RPI anymore necessarily, but it's an exact or inexact science, I guess I should say. So a lot goes in. So when you're on that bubble, obviously, if you don't get that automatic qualifier in your tournament, it's a nerve-wracking few days. So we've got that bubble. Logan, you've told me your first 4 out. Who's your last 4 in?
Ohio State. They beat Indiana. The winner of that Ohio State-Indiana game was going to get in for me. NC State. I have Belmont. And I, like you, I wanted to put Furman in, kind of because of the beginning of the year when Barrett was like, Furman's good. And we were like, dude, shut up. It's Furman. They're not good.
My exact reaction when he told me Kansas would win the tournament was your reaction when you were big on Furman. It's like, yeah, okay.
And another team I really, really wanted to get in, and I think you did too, was Georgetown.
Yeah, I really, really was hoping they would get in.
But they had that terrible loss, like you said, or I think we talked about it in the break.
Yeah, Seton Hall. They looked dead.
And was that my 4th, or do I need one more? Do I have one more?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, those are my 4.
My last 4 in is probably teams that are honestly guaranteed, but this is more of what I would do. I think the Sooners squeak in. Okay. That losing to West Virginia is bad, but West Virginia might go on a run and help OU's case a little bit. I think the Sooners sitting in 19-13. They lost 5 straight in Big 12 play at a point in time this season, but they played well down the stretch. They're honestly more fine-tuned offensively than they were last year. Turns out when Trae Young leaves, everyone can kind of work together. I think the Sooners squeak in. Arizona State at 22-9. I think they jump in there.
They're just there. I do think by the end of the year, if they win, they make it to the Pac-12 championship, I think I'll have them in.
They could win it, honestly.
They could win it. I mean,
you can't put too much stock in that.
Speaking of the Pac-12 championship, watch out for Colorado. They could steal a bid. They won 10 of 12.
Another bubble team will lose.
That would be brutal because they've won 10 of 12 and they rolled through Cal. I believe it was Cal and whoever they played last night. They look good. So.
Well, so I've got OU, Arizona State. I'm gonna put the Gold Gophers in, Minnesota and Seton Hall as well. Yeah. I think they all squeak in. Some may make it, some may not. But that's my last 4 in. Okay, Barrett. We've gone through first 4 out, last 4 in, first 4 in. Give me your 2 seeds, your Cinderella, and who's going to be a national champion at the end of all of this.
So my 2 seeds, the best 2 seed, I have Duke. Then I've got Michigan State, then Tennessee, and then Michigan.
Ooh, no LSU?
Michigan. No LSU. I have Michigan just because... Well, first of all, Michigan and LSU are very close, but the main reason I have Michigan is because none of their losses have been, like, all of their losses are what they refer to as quadrant 1 losses, and they still have a 30-point victory at Villanova and a 17-point victory against UNC, and I feel like those get forgotten about a lot. I mean, I know LSU has wins over Kentucky, and I think they also beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
But really, they shouldn't have beaten Kentucky.
You could argue they shouldn't have beat Tennessee either. Those
seriously.
Controversial games.
So I think those blowout wins are really impressive to me, so that's why I've got them slightly above LSU.
You know who LSU didn't beat? Oklahoma State.
Well, the FBI investigation. All right. Cinderella story, national champion.
Cinderella story, New Mexico State.
Mexico
State. They only have 4 losses. They're a good team. And then national champion, I don't want to pick Duke. I'm not going to pick Duke. They're not going to win it. I'm picking, let's go with Tennessee.
All right, Logan. Cinderella story.
Tennessee, national champion.
Tennessee.
Veteran team. Don't believe it, but they're a veteran team. Cinderella and your national champion.
My Cinderella story is Liberty.
Yes.
They match up with Kansas. Right now, they're matched up with Kansas. This is according to Joe Lenardi. Matched up with Kansas right now.
I'm a big Liberty guy.
Then they would play the
Typical American. Yeah. I love it.
They'd play the winner of Murray State Marquette, and then, they would play someone, probably Virginia. But I think they could go on a nice run. What else did you want? My 2 seeds?
You can just get
national champion. I don't want to pick Duke. I'm not going to pick Tennessee. I would have picked Tennessee about a month ago. I'm going to pick North Carolina.
Give me your 2 seeds anyways.
Duke is the best 2 seed, then Tennessee, then LSU, and then Michigan State.
All right. Whew. You ready for this, Barrett?
Yeah.
I have who will be this year's UMBC. Gardner Webb will beat Gonzaga in Anaheim. Book it, baby. 23-11. Gonzaga is down and out. They are Cinderella, by the way.
Gardner Webb.
My 2 seeds, if I can get it here.
They're not very good.
Duke, Tennessee, LSU, and Michigan. UMBC wasn't very good either. They played Fortnite and lucked out and beat Vermont in a gym the size of the studio and pulled off a great miracle. Gardner Webb, they'll lose to. Actually, take it back. Gardner Webb will beat Gonzaga, and then they will beat Washington and to get to the Sweet 16.
There you go.
Okay.
My national champion, not Gardner Webb. I don't believe in Kentucky. I obviously don't believe in Kansas. North Carolina has been there time and time again. This is difficult. We're going to spring break. We're fine on time. It's okay. We're fine. It's okay. I don't buy into many. The ACC's got a ton of teams.
Yeah.
The Big Ten's going to have a ton of teams. Texas Tech, I thought, was the one. Then they laid egg at the Big 12 tournament.
They're very good. I think they could. I think they're a Final Four type team. Their defense is also incredible, and they're also, as of late, they've been really good offensively. So
they did go on a nice run.
West Virginia, but,
they went on a nice run last year.
They did, yeah.
Virginia is a risky team.
It is.
They play with house money, but that defense is better than it was. Virginia is your national champion.
No one's picking Duke.
No.
RJ Barrett's going to shoot them out of a game.
Watch Colgate in Tennessee too, as well. That's a 15-2.
I was about to say Colgate. Colgate, if I had to pick a 15 seed, I think they're the ones to do it. They'll beat Duke.
All right. Well, thank you, Barrett, our own bracketologist. Yeah, I know you're gonna enjoy watching this over spring break. Yeah. Hope you have a good spring break. We're gonna take a quick break, come back and talk about everything going on in Oklahoma State athletics. We'll be back in just a second.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They are also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Before we head out of here, go on spring break. Interesting week for Oklahoma State athletics. Obviously, Oklahoma State lost in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. It was impressive. Yeah. You know, they finished 12-20 on the season. 73-point loss, 73-70, but they were down 16 at half. They were down at 21 at a time. Yorane sets ties the block record. He had 17 points. Lindy had 17 points as well, but the 7 blocks is what's impressive for Yorane. It was almost the season in a microcosm of a game. Down and out, they fought back, but it just wasn't enough. But you got to be happy going into this offseason with. I think the future is bright for Oklahoma State.
Absolutely. And did you see Boynton's? I can't remember. It was on either the men's basketball Twitter or the Oklahoma State athletics Twitter. Something. There's a video of him in the locker room giving a speech, and he said, everyone keeps talking about the future. The future is bright, this program, but the future's right here. And he's right. Those guys are all going to be back next season. Mm-hmm. The future is bright. These guys played really hard. Yorane, Isaac Likely, they have been really impressive as freshmen. They were, I don't know if they were as impressive as Lindy and Cam were in their freshman seasons, but
it's a different situation, I think, so it's hard to compare.
Yeah, I agree. But they showed a lot of promise. Yorane is going to be awesome. I think Yorane is going to turn into a really, really, really good player for Oklahoma State. Going to be a great shot blocker. The future is bright, and you got to be looking towards next year and be like, you're not expecting obviously an NCAA championship next season, but hopefully you can make some kind of Big 12 run, because they were in a ton of games this year, but like you said, just couldn't finish it out due to a lack of depth. Whatever it was, just couldn't get it done. So next year, it's looking really good.
Yeah, I think they have a bright future as well. They found themselves a really good player. And honestly, the kind of a victim of bad circumstances across the program. Yeah. But maybe at the end of the day, it was a good thing for York. This team wasn't going to win a national title anyways. Right. They're a long ways from that, but Yor and Isaac Likely get a chance to play so much. They get so many meaningful minutes. It's almost like going into next year, they're not sophomores. They are almost a junior, senior type leadership, because they had to get those minutes. They had to grow up so fast and kind of get thrust into the spotlight. And so I think that's going to do themselves a favor, I guess, in the end, because no one wanted it to be that way ideally. But ultimately, that's what it is, and you got to be happy if you're Mike Boynton. Not with being 12-20, but the fact that you've got 5 guys that got a lot of minutes. Curtis Jones is going to get better, and you've got reinforcements on the way.
That last stretch of the season when they almost beat Texas Tech and almost beat Kansas, and he was playing great.
His 20 points when he did that was a couple big time stuff, and
he was really good in that West Virginia game. Yeah. He needs to work on his shot selection, try to shoot a better percentage, but he's really aggressive. He's not afraid to miss, which I think can be good. So I think he's going to get better next year. What do you want the team to improve on the most, or one player you want to improve the most?
One player?
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, they could all, honestly, everyone can always improve. I mean, he grew a lot with the shot selection and also the personal fouls. Mm-hmm. He improved a lot, but he can still work on that. And he just needs to refine the little things, because he's already a monster. Yeah. He's a monster. But I would say that. And, Lindy shoots the ball well. Thomas improved his shot a lot. I mean, they all improved, but I think they're all going to come back a little bit better next year. So the future is bright. Well, the Cowgirls yesterday, the future is now basically for Cowgirls softball. They run rule Central Arkansas in 5 innings, 16-1, 4 home runs. They head down to Oxford now to take on Samford tonight, and then Ole Miss Saturday and Sunday. And then Cowboy baseball hosts Southeastern Louisiana. Then they go down to Dallas Baptist for a spring break midweek game, and then they start Big 12 play next weekend against Kansas State. But what everyone's excited about, wrestling fans across the country, I should say. It's kind of a niche sport, but
yeah.
The Cowboys are headed out to nationals here. They do not have a wrestler at 157, but they get 6 top 10 seeds, and I'm going to run through those really quickly. 125, Nick Piccinini is the number 2 overall seed. At 133, the incredible Dayton Fix is number 1 overall. 141, Cade Brock is the 15 overall seed. 149, Caden Gefeller, number 7. 165, Joe Smith, a weight he really doesn't wrestle much at. Obviously replaced Chandler Rogers and finished 8th at Big 12s, gets number 33 overall seed. So he's going to have to do a lot to win.
Right.
And 174, Jacoby Smith is a 7th overall seed. Dakota Greer at 184, number 26. Preston Weigel, number 3 at 197. And Derek White, the heavyweight 285, is the number 1 overall seed. So Dayton Fix, I think, is the favorite to win the individual national title. I've asked you this plenty of times. Do they have enough to capture a team title away from Penn State?
I don't think so. I think they have a lot of great individual talents, but I don't know. Those middleweights are what worry me. I don't know if they have enough there.
Yeah, number 33, Joe Smith, and Dakota Greer at 26.
Yeah.
Penn State only qualified 9 wrestlers as well. They don't have anybody at 125, and they kind of struggle at their lower weights. But what they do so well to get those team titles is
bonus points.
Bonus points. They get ridiculous amounts of bonus points.
Yeah.
That Oklahoma State's, John Smith said it earlier, they're going to have to pull off some upsets.
Yep.
But I think there's a chance that Oklahoma State could do it. I don't know that it'll happen, but you probably feel better now than you have in years past.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's about that time. We get to go on spring break. I don't know how many.
I was going to say, do you know how many hours that is, Reed?
I tried to calculate it earlier. I forgot, and now I'm not going to do it in my head right now. But we will not be back for a week, so we're going to enjoy our time off. We will see you not next Monday, but the Monday after that. So I hope the Cowboys have a lot of success out in Pittsburgh. Get out to Alley P if you're sticking around Stillwater for some baseball this weekend and next weekend when they take on Kansas State. Thank you so much for watching One-on-One. We will see you, like I said, not this Monday, but next Monday. We hope you have a happy and safe spring break. We'll see you later, Cowboys.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.